sun.
All right, we are here doing our NAB 2016 coverage. Big thanks to Blackmagic Design for being our sponsors. You guys have noticed that our coverage is a little different this year. Rather than doing booth interviews, we decided, hey, let's go around and just take a look at the stuff that we really care about, take some extra dedicated time to do that, and that's allowed us to really focus on the things, take some extra time at those booths that we care about, and we shot B-roll, and now we're sitting back here. We've had a chance to process it and see what are the things that really matter to us at NAB. We've been doing different categories. This one we're going to talk about lighting. As a DP, I'm always looking at what the latest lighting gear is. Mike has come on board recently with us and become our gaffer. So,
and I could care less about lighting.
That's
why I'm playing with the
I always have to tell him important things, and he's like, whatever.
I can just make whatever light do whatever I want to in 3D. So
yeah, whenever he's doing something like Cinema 4D, he's got his giant softbox in the perfect spot.
It's like right in the
and
way.
He just makes it disappear, but the light stays there. I'm like, God, so easy. So easy. All right, so let's talk about, let's go big first. Go big or go home,
big,
right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Mole light. So last year, Mole Richardson announced a 5K equivalent LED. Their senior LED had a 900 watt draw, equivalent to a 5K output in tungsten value, about the value of around 1200 watt HMI in daylight, and 900 watt draw. Plug into a household circuit, plug into a 1000 watt generator. Awesome. Now the price was hefty. It was around $5,000, but what you could do with it was still amazing. And
household circuit.
Up to this point, Aiden Tech was one of the only other companies that had that bright of LEDs, and they had a lot of green. The moles were much cleaner, which is probably why it's taken them so long to come out with them, is to perfect it. So I saw that. I'm like, I'm going to see if they come out with a bicolor version, which at this point, after talking to them, it looks like they're probably not going to at that size of lights. They have some smaller ones. They have like one that's, I think, is a 2K equivalent. Anything down from there, they're going to probably be doing a bicolor version, but that one they're not. But they had another one, an even brighter one, their 10er LED, which is equivalent to a 10K, which has about a 1600 watt draw. So still able to plug into a household circuit. That, just so you know, like if you had to use a 5K or a 10K, you'd be having to either tie into the mains or having to have a generator truck or something crazy. The inconvenience of a light that bright cannot be overstated for smaller time productions. So if you're pulling a light out of that size, you're usually expecting to have a whole G&E truck that's just dedicated to that. So the idea of being able to just buy something like that and have it in your kit and then just plug it into a household circuit is incredibly appealing to myself. So the 10er LED, of course, as you can guess, it's going to be expensive, over 10 grand. But as far as rental goes, and if that's something you want to throw money at, it's definitely cool. At some point, I'm interested in possibly getting one. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that's just so a 10K and then 2500 watt HMI equivalent. So things that would be really difficult to plug into any level of household circuit. LED, it's dimmable, it's scrimmable, it's all sorts of fun stuff. So it's a behemoth, though.
Oh, it's giant. Huge. It's giant, but surprisingly,
manageable.
Yep.
All right, so that was drool worthy by far. RE has their lineup of their L series of LED lights, which I've loved and someday hope to buy maybe one or two of. They really filled out that lineup. They had their L7. I think it was the L5 or L5.
I think there's an
L7. The L7 they had, which was about their 1K equivalent. I saw that a couple years back at NAB. Now they have some smaller ones, and now they have a bigger one, their L10. The L10 is their 2K equivalent. Now they have an L10, and the lower one's an L10 T and L10D, as you can imagine, tungsten and daylight, but they also have an L10C. And that one is really, really cool. It allows you to dial in a specific color temperature. And with that, you can go anywhere from like probably 2,000, 2,700, something like that Kelvin, up to like 10,000 degrees Kelvin. So you've got your tungsten to daylight covered pretty well. But then you can switch it to RGB mode, and then you can dial in any color value and adjust the saturation. So green, pink, red. Yeah, pick your color. You can do it. You dial it in. You can dial back and forth between the saturation. So all of a sudden you've got a gel kit right in the same light. Going back to the tungsten and daylight, another thing it lets you do is to dial plus or minus on the green. So if you're trying to match fluorescent, or you're trying to, pull back on something, if you, whatever it may be, you can go plus or minus on the green. So basically, plus would be towards green, minus would be towards magenta, and that's a dial in there. So the versatility of that light cannot be overstated. It's awesome, still expensive. I think like $5 or $6 grand for that for the L10. Again, something that I'd love to have in my kit at some point as a 2K equivalent. Super duper handy. I mean, just having a gel kit built into a light is pretty cool. And from a gaffer standpoint,
yeah, it's similar to, they had their new sky panels as well, which had the similar technology with the RGB, being able to dial in your basically any gel you want. You can be dialing into. And that versatility right there with how having an actual gel kit with you, or having to take the time to gel a light, or matching to existing lights, that's a time saver on set. So I can see the benefits of it, and would really want something like that. But price points are kind of high. But
yeah, it all depends on your level of production. I have a okay gel kit. And there's always times where I'm going, I wish I had this specific gel or something like that. There was one time I was shooting, and there was a hot tub, and it had like a green hue to the underlighting from inside, and the DP I was gaffing, the DP wanted to try and match that color. And I'm going through my kit, I'm like, I don't have the right greens to match exactly what he was looking for. Had I had that light, I could have just dialed it exactly to what I needed, and then we could have matched it perfectly. So there are places where that kind of level of control would come in super duper duper handy. So, all right, so those are drool worthy. Let's talk about flex LEDs. I have some of the flex LEDs from
was it
Westcott,
Yeah.
and they are awesome. They're incredibly portable. They've been a great addition to our kit. Westcott has some new cinema ones that are pretty cool. There's also Aladdin, which is a very similar brand. I don't know exactly whether they're the same manufacturer and then they just redistributing differently, or just different levels or whatever it may be. The one thing that stood out to me was Aladdin had this really, really cool kind of Chinese lantern, pancake lantern style ball attachment. Now, we have tried to rig up the flex LEDs in a China ball numerous times and had different levels of success with it. And I've been looking for somebody just to come up with a kit that you could just pop the flex LEDs into and it would work. And lo and behold, they did. So Aladdin makes it. Their US distribution is now through Xylite. It's kind of pricey it was like $350 just for that Chinese lantern for what it is. It's not a light, it's you put the light into
just
it.
The lantern was...
But I'm gonna have to get one because just the amount that we use those lights, and to be able to just pop it on there, and because there's so many things you can use the type of fixture for. When it's rigid like that, you can not only attach it to a ceiling, but you can also put on the end of a pole, and with the lights, you can run them off of a V-lock. So now you throw a V-lock in a pouch on your side, and you're running off a pole light. Now you can do walking shots. You can do all sorts of stuff. So the versatility of those lights are awesome, and they're very bright. So definitely gonna get that.
They're waterproof too, aren't they?
I know they're water resistant. I don't remember exactly how.
I thought the...
I know the Aladdins were, I think, Xylite. Some of theirs are.
Yeah.
Or not Xylite, but the Westcotts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stick my hand to find out. But
Yeah.
there's a level of
dip them
weather
in some water.
resistance to it. Yes.
But yeah.
Fotodiox. So I've got some of the ICANN, the edgelit Piatto LEDs. Those are really, really cool. and I'm actually going to be putting a video together about them because a lot of people go, I don't know exactly how to use these because they're kind of small. They don't make necessarily a good key light. If you understand the nature of light, you want a big source to be soft. Smaller sources are harder. So if you think this, even though it's soft, it's an edge lit LED. So there's a panel where the LEDs are around the edge, and then it's like a diffuse piece of plexi that's in there, and then it lights that and illuminates it. And so then there's no individual LED points to cause multi shadows. And it's great for like products and stuff like that. But right now, ICANN doesn't have any really big ones. Fotodiox does, and they had not only an 18-inch, which I had seen last year, but they have a 31-inch circular one, and then they had some other bigger panels as well. The output on them is okay, you know, because of the fact you think about it, you're lighting up a panel, so you're basically shooting through diffusion. And the bigger that you get, the further away those LEDs have to emit to light up the entire panel. I saw a lot of fall off on last year's model where the center was definitely not as bright as the outside. It looks like somehow they've improved that.
Yeah,
so
it was
the
pretty
fall off
uniform across the whole surface.
but 31 inch is pretty cool. I mean, just the idea of just pop it on a stand, and there's a soft light that you can move in pretty close. No additional diffusion that you need to have on there.
What are you playing?
Boring you that much?
I'm not playing. My ex texted me. That's her thing. I use the duck hunt.
Let's not
The duck hunt dog laughing at you as the text from my ex.
Fotodiox.
Yeah, let's
That's appropriate, I
LED.
guess.
cut that part.
Don't cut that out. That's the flavor.
Edge lit LEDs.
Fotodiox.
There are a list of things that and then bicolor. I might get one. The price isn't too bad, but it won't, like in an environment like this where we're trying to shoot against windows. I mean, we have a 1500 LED and we have a 3000 LED. We're cranking out as much light as we can, and
Very
we're
bright.
just getting it to the point. Yeah, so bright. We're just getting it to the point where it's keeping the windows from totally blowing out. Those edge lit LEDs are going to be a much dimmer lit or more controlled light environments. So something possibly cool for the kit, but doesn't solve all the problems. And honestly, circular lights are cool in the eyes, but there's times where it doesn't create the right look. Like you kind of want that square to mimic a window if you're going for a natural light effect.
I'd imagine it'd be great for a small kit, interview kit, that you just do a lot of interviews, you do a lot of that close-up stuff because you need to get closer. It doesn't have much punch.
Yeah. Now their 18-inch one has a case, 31-inch doesn't.
Yeah.
And that thing is just screaming to be. There's no barn doors on it. It's just like
I
don't know
actually
where
thought
would
we
go.
went up with like day 3. I thought it had a crack in it though.
Did it?
And one of them did.
Yeah.
I remember going past the booth and like, ooh, that one fell over.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the Practilite. This is by Cano Technique. They're the guys that did the LCD viewfinder. They announced this, I think, last year, maybe even longer ago than that. It's just this little LED head that is, I think it's around a 650 equivalent or something like that, maybe a 1K, bicolor. And one of the neat things is that it wirelessly can communicate to an app that you can control up to 3 lights simultaneously. So say you have your light array set up and you're sitting back, kind of like it's a wireless DMX controller, which is pretty cool. Now the lights are a little bit pricier than I think they had originally planned on. They had set a number around $600-700. Now they're about $1,000. The quality on them is really solid though, so I would recommend them as something to consider. Just the versatility of the light, being able to use that app and have the light itself is very compact. So if you're looking for a good travel kit, if you do a lot of interviews or something like that, I'd definitely consider it. And Data Light, I'm a big fan of Data Light. I checked out their stuff numerous times. I have one of their little pin spots that I use for product stuff a lot, and they've really heavily transitioned into LED, and so that means most of their fixtures now are bicolor, and they have different size fixtures, and they have an LED equivalent of that little pin spot that I use. I just wanted to kind of check them out and see what their stuff look like. I will probably be picking up one of those at some point just to. I can't tell you how convenient it is to just be able to throw a very soft point of light anywhere. Like there's so many times we've used it where we needed to just have a controlled little window of something. I remember a casino ad where their logo was in the middle of this spinning wheel, and we just wanted to throw a little splash of light. And you don't want it to be hard edge, you just want to have a nice random soft fall off and everything like that. So data lights are really, really convenient. They can be a little pricey, but having one or two in your kit is valuable. So checked out some of their stuff, and that'll be in my list. So
Very cool.
anything else, Mr. Gaffer, that stood out to you?
Yeah, we kind of covered most of the stuff. I was really enamored by some of the smaller Aladdin pieces that were. And then you were telling me you can get that on eBay for like $30.
There are lights that I will spend the extra money on for higher quality. If you're looking for just a portable, convenient light, I mean, frankly, I've gotten some LED lights are super duper cheap, and the quality has gone up. The first cheap LED light that I got on eBay years ago was so green it was sickly. And nowadays, like I'm putting them right up next to my high-end LED lights, and I'm like, this looks pretty close. So, it's hard to then wow me at that point with smaller LEDs. I'm looking for bigger and brighter. Those are the two things that I'm looking for every time I go to NAB. How big does this get? How bright can it be? And there were some LED setups, like especially Aladdin. They had a 1 foot by 4 foot LED strip. That was that fabric flex LED, and they had 4 of them rigged up together. So it was a 4 by 4 LED panel, and it was huge and bright and expensive because each one of those panels was $2,500. So do the math. $10,000 for a 4 by 4 LED light.
Plus tax.
Plus tax. Thanks for that contribution.
You're welcome.
Although it might not actually apply.
You have to do more math.
That might not be true.
Yeah. Depending on how you buy it.
So I've seen, and then even Westcott had like this giant grid of like, I don't know how many other 2x2s in an 8x8 frame. So do the math to figure that out. But
More math. Gosh.
it was a lot, and it was huge, and it was bright, and it was awesome. But again, if each one of those fixtures cost a couple grand, no. There's nothing right now that maybe I want something that's a 4x4 or larger LED panel, and there isn't something that isn't crazy expensive. Let me just put it that way. So we're getting there. We're not there yet. But again, if you did something like take one of those Tenor LEDs and you shoot that through a 4x4 cell, it's going to be bright, or even an 8x8. So anyways. Nothing blew me away, but there's some cool looking stuff at this year anyway. So that is our lighting section. Thanks for tuning in. Big thanks to our sponsor, Blackmagic Design, for making our coverage possible. And be sure to check out all of our other videos for our full NAB coverage.